Yeah, I think I've covered. Again, if you want to ask any other questions regarding GS also, it's okay. You can ask, or any questions about anthropology.
So, as you said, you usually have to prepare bulky notes. Then how did you go from bulky to the crispy notes to revise before the exam?
See, this bulky notes that I'm referring to is a class notes. Okay, that is one thing, and this is okay because like you're listening to the first time, even when you're writing notes, it tends to be bulky. Okay, but after 2-3 revisions, when you make notes, you will understand what is like some things are concepts which you write down when you hear it for the first time because it has shock value and you're impressed by it. But when you write notes for the after third revision, you'll understand that you are already familiarized with it, so you'll write it in a very short way, and if it is properly communicated to the person evaluator, it is appreciated. So naturally after 3 revisions the size shrinks, and when you make that notes, see to it that you write in a question and answer format. That's why I was referring to that Akshay Jain's book, because you will understand like you if you prepare these elements. And one thing with the option is that these questions do repeat. The questions do repeat much more frequently than GS. Same to same themes are there, even wording is also same. I think Shiva Pitidas and Neolithic cultures, this like wording also doesn't change. So if when you have a question and answer format, it's much more easier for you, and there's nothing guilty you should be feeling about it. Okay, and what other short? See, what I was referring to is that in social culture anthropology, I had also referred to this Telugu Academy notes, and they are very very bulky, and I was kind of like I was overdoing it. For example, there was this topic about the influence of industrialization and this urbanization on family. So I think I wrote again 15 to 20, 15 to 16 thinkers. You will have many people, like it will start what are them now I'm going to recollect. Can you recollect any of them? There are studies in Madras, like there are studies in Agarwal community. Yeah, so like there are many studies, and so you will find all of them. I think they asked this year also in 2024 also. I could recollect around few of them. So like it goes on in once. I think it's around this thick, just sociocultural anthropology notes for me, but around only chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5. See, and my total notes around other things also is this thick only. So, like, what is the point of making very thick notes when you bulky notes when you can't revise it? So you will not get the right returns. And once you get into the process of writing means, you have time is so limited, and like time is the ultimate precious resource. Because between paper one and paper two, GS1 and GS2, you'll have 2 hours. Okay, and after writing GS2, now the time has shifted more, 2:30 to 5:30. So after 5:30, maybe if you go from the exam center to your home and you try to refresh, it will be around 6:15. Again in the morning, you will have to write GS3. How will you revise these elements? You have to revise everything, right? GS3 and GS4 in this small hours, you will have around 3 or 3.5 hours window. And if you try to skip sleep, that's suicide. Okay, there is again one more friend. He got into IRS. He again wrote for rank improvement. Before the GS1 paper, he kind of compromised on his sleep, and again it was complete. Like, he got very low scores. So do not compromise on your sleep before the exam day. That is the worst thing you can do to yourself. Okay, and because see that is not the one day preparation that is going to reflect on that exam. You are preparing for long time, and that 90 days also between prelims and mains you have studied. Okay, so do not compromise on your sleep. And I think regarding anthropology, again you'll have 5 days, right? So that is very 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 liberal for us to study. And again, once you complete the papers and you have very short notes, it will be very easy for you to revise. So yeah, that is what it is.
For 1 week, it is very easy to revise the day by day topics. But after 1 2 weeks, we need to revise very difficult.
See, I do understand, and everybody faces this. The only thing is that try to recollect. See, one thing is that I've said, right, once you completed a chapter or completed a topic, subtopic also, try to write what you read. Okay, just you have that UPSC model answer sheets. There are certain books, right? So try to write that question or take a PYQ or frame a question or just copy paste the question from the topper's copy or that Akshay Jain's notes, and try to write what you read. And so you will understand to what extent you are remembering, and you will be missing. Say for example, there are 10 points, you're able to recollect 6 or 7 points. There are 3 points which are missing. Try to read them. Okay, and you do have to do regular intervals. Revisions at regular intervals are very important. If you're say, on day 0, you've read one topic, try to revise in day 15, again at day 30. So try to do at regular intervals so that your memory stays fresh. Okay. And any more questions?
Sir, can you use ChatGPT for answer?
See, I do understand where this question is coming from. Many toppers are saying they've extensively used ChatGPT, but one problem is that there are certain errors. Okay, there is a rider. There are certain errors that ChatGPT does, and one more problem which I personally try to use ChatGPT, and that is a lot of problems. Is one thing is that those answers are very generic, like optional and maybe for GS you can do for some topics which you know nothing about, and Wikipedia is also not showing anything. On the internet also not finding any entries. Maybe then you can go for ChatGPT. Otherwise, those answers are very generic, and I don't think that answer will satisfy the demand of UPSC, especially for optional. In optional, they expect thinkers and all, and ChatGPT, those answers are very very generic. From my experience, I'm saying, but if maybe paid versions are better. So there is this rider. I've only used that free version. I've not used the paid version. Maybe paid versions are much more meticulous and specific. But see, you try to use it for yourself. If it is working, then it's fine. And regarding essay also, I think one madam has told, this topper from my year itself, my batch, she has told that for essay PYQs, she tried to use ChatGPT to find out new perspectives. Maybe if that is working, try to do. Again, it's up to you. If it's working for you, use it. And any more questions?
What sort of short notes will be feasible to revise, like based on class notes or PYQs or topics of the syllabus? Like for every syllabus, there are 20 topics.
I didn't get your question. Like when you make notes, it is obviously based on syllabus, right? You will take a topic, subtopic.
So if we have like there are 20 topics on quality.
Actually, you're speaking about GS. Okay.
GS. So there are 20 topics on quality. So and based on 20 topics of the topic one page, 20 pages. Allah chesi revise better.
No, you have definitely have to go through topics and subtopics only. I'll give you an example. See, there is this president.
Class notes is already.
No. Class notes is there, but you will not be able to replicate all the class notes, right? And class notes is not in a question and answer format. When you make notes, always make them in a question and answer format to the extent possible, and try to write those in segments. Like, for example, if you take a topic of president, whatever panchayats, if say panchayats, you will write the constitutional provisions. In polity, we do this. You will write 243, Article 243 speaks about panchayats. You begin with an article. Then you write about like what is the current status, what are the issues, and like what are the good models which you can replicate, like Kerala or Karnataka model. So you do that. So there are 3 segments. Should classify what are the segments they can ask, and try to fill the notes. And again, give space. Okay, because from toppers notes or somewhere you will find, or from newspaper, you have to have space where you can update. Do that, and don't make your notes very very like in the thought of trying to compress them and making them very short. Do not make them like so tight that there is no space for updation. I personally made this mistake regarding this modern history and art and architecture. Like to play a psychological game, to ease my revision, I compressed all my modern history notes in 20 pages and art and architecture in 17 pages, 15 to 17 pages. But it was so bulkily, tightly wound up that there was no space to add something new, like some new historian, his perspectives or quotes or something, or graphs. They do use graphs. So don't do that. Even for static topics also, try to give some space where you can add those value addition things. Okay.
Once you are done with the entire preparation, how do you, what sort of method do you use to recall everything?
See, one thing is
right now it's very easy for us when we are recalling or retaining information based on single chapter or single GS subject. But after the preparation, it's a whole load of information.
See, there is one caveat. You are never done with preparation. You are only decently done with it. Because, see, I've got that rank, and I've told you about one girl, right? She has ranked better than me, and again, she wrote for rank improvement for IAS, getting into IAS. Again, at the end of the day before the mains, you are still feeling a little bit inadequate. So you will only think that there will be one ideal day where I'll completely study all the topics and you will be completely thorough to all the topics, but that doesn't happen. But you will be decently covering all the topics, okay? And you'll be good in some topics, around 40 to 50 or 60% of them. But there are certain 40% of the topics where you're not so good or as good as you want it to be. So that is one thing. Second thing is that you said like now you are able to recollect, but you're not able to you're forgetting in the future. I think she asked the same question. So you need to do regular revisions, and again the size of the notes has to be less, because with the number of revisions when you're increasing it, these they came and they sit in your mind, because concepts you don't have to revise again and again. You'll remember them. What you'll forget is the facts. Especially this will happen in archaeology. Archaeology, and some people do face it in biological anthropology. I did not feel that much in biological anthropology, but it does happen in archaeology because it is like pure facts, and you will have to remember them because you will have sites. But again, now I still remember those sites because you read. I think I don't know how many times I have read it. So it will vary from person to person. So if you ask how many times you will have to revise, I will say as many times as necessary for you till it retains, it sits in your brain. I will give one advice is that try to wake up in the morning 4 to 6 or 5 to 6 or 5 to 7 or 5 to 8. That time is like, for me, it was the most productive thing. Around one third or almost I can say around 40% of my productive work which I do in a day, it used to happen in those 3.5 hours. Because at that time you're just woken up, your mind is very fresh, and if you just try to monitor how much you are reading and how much productive activity you're doing, your productivity is just at the peaks at that time. Okay, so don't waste that time. Like for me, it was like that. Try to analyze yourself and see at what time you're able to remember better. Mostly it's in the morning. Okay, because some people unnecessarily, maybe because of BTech in engineering, you kind of have this acquired habit of becoming night owls, and you try to read it in the night. But again, if your productivity is high in the night, absolutely do it in the night. Again, this is subjective. So try to see at what time you're being more productive, and keep your notes crisp and like revise again and again. There is no other, like there are no shortcuts. You have to walk through those difficult steps of revising again and again. Trust me, but when you've done that work and you when you get that fruits, they will be that much more sweet. See, there is one more thing I have to say, because of why I was referring to PYQs is that there are certain areas which like they are not so fetching. I'll specifically name them: world history, post independence. These areas you will hardly find one or two questions, and most again there's a standard setup. Okay, there are certain standard topics which you read: American Revolution, French Revolution, and all. See, personally, I had read from. I also bought that normal law book, but it's too bulky and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. You will not get that enough returns which you put in. So there is this vision material. I think every other coaching material brings this value addition material. I think it's in the open. So get hold of that. I think it decently covers it, because you should not be putting too much time into it. Majority of your time should be going to GS2, GS4 ethics, and optional, and essay, because these are the scoring papers. See, one mistake I did is that I did not analyze the answers, these mark sheets of the toppers. If you see through them, throughout there is this trend. They'll score 120s or 130s in the GS2. Again, 120s and 130s in the essay. And again, 130s, 140s also happened in ethics. And optional, they're getting 280s, 290s, 300s. So this happens. In interview also, you can get very good score. I got 200 in interview. So these are the scoring papers. I'm not stigmatizing JS1 and JS3, but it's like it's too wide. JS3 syllabus, everything under the sky that is left out in the papers, the scoring papers is thrown in JS3. They can ask anything, and it is extremely wide. And like for me personally, it was not so scoring, and that was the lesson I drew. Like in the first mains which I had written, I had given majority of my time to JS3 because I was afraid. Like if he asks a question in the exam which I have not read, what will I write? This FOMO is the fear of missing out. So you did a lot in JS3, but it doesn't. For me, it did not personally translate. So I like there was this inverse relationship in the GS 1, 2, 3, 4. If you I kind of saw the map, saw the graph of how much time I invested and how many marks I got. So it was completely inversely proportional. The highest amount of time I spent in GS3, that was the lowest marks I got in the GS4 papers. And the lowest amount I spent was on ethics, and that was around 99. That was in the first or second places. And the second least amount of time I spent on polity, and there I got the highest score. So just see that elimination. The amount of time you spend must be more in those papers which are scoring. So GS2 and GS4 are extremely important.
So what role does mock test and test series play in your preparation?
See, I think that is like the pivotal role. The most important role is played by test series, because you will read. Reading is something, and answer rating is completely different. That's why I said once you start answer rating, you will also have a better clarity of how to make your notes, because you will very clearly understand what to make notes about and what to skip. And yeah, what to leave out is one thing you will acquire, and which is extremely crucial to clear this exam. You should be able to strike out and say, okay, this will not come in the exam, so I have to not spend my time. You should not waste my time. See, for example, I think some derivations of I think Hardy-Weinberg law. Have you covered it? Hardy-Weinberg law. No. Okay. There is this derivation of it. So they do not ask it in the exam. So like, what is the point of spending time of making notes when you know that these questions are not asked? Maybe this comes from the PYQs. Or for answer rating, they ask these questions, analytical questions they ask. They don't ask derivations of these formulas, right? So when you understand that, you will not make notes about it. So it use same time. And again, regarding, there is this topic about primates. Okay. So they don't ask this morphology of the primates. They only focus upon apes and humans. So in PINA, there is I think around 100 to 100 or 80 pages regarding this morphology of primates. And people do make notes about that. So what is the point of making notes about there? Because they will not ask that question. So that you will get when you read the PYQs and you write the test series, you will try to question like what questions they are referring to. Do these questions come in the PYQs? If those questions come, then you focus on those areas. Okay. So, and one more thing is that answer rating you will only understand when you start it, and from topper answer copies you will learn a lot. I think I learned the most from reading those topper copies only. Those vision copies and forming copies, you will get a very good clarity about how to direct your work, how to channelize and direct your work and your efforts, because you will understand what to read and what to skip. Okay. You were asking something? Yeah, you can ask.
GS2 paper also scoring.
Yes, absolutely. Quality paper is like, see, just I think the rank one Aditya Srivastava's mark sheet is in the internet. Just if you have your phones, just check out the mark sheet. Rank one Aditya Srivastava's mark sheet. It's okay. It will take 30 seconds or 5 to 10 seconds. Just search it. Why I'm referring, ఎందుకు నేను స్పెసిఫై చేస్తున్నా అంటే people don't think it's important to look at the mark sheets. It's very important because it's like enlightening. Because that is when you look at the mark sheets that you realize which papers are more scoring. And it doesn't just happen through one topper. All the toppers, they try to maximize on those papers. Essay, ethics, polity paper, GS2 and optional. These are very, very important.
GS2.
And I think he did not get much in essay, but people do get. I think rank 2, Animesh Pradhan's, they find very good marks in this essay paper, 130 something, 133. So if you go through like that, you'll not find good marks in all these papers for all toppers. But if you kind of draw, you'll see a tendency. There's a trend in these papers. In like there are 4 papers or 5 papers, right? Scoring papers. You will see that in 3 or 4 of them, if you scored well, you will be through. I'll give you my own personal case. In essay and GS2, I did not score well, at least to the extent which I wanted to. In ethics, I scored well. In optional, I scored well. In interview, I scored well. So I was at 173. If I had got 16 more marks, which I had expected, there was a deficit of 30 marks in essay and GS2 combined in my case. So 30 marks deficit. I was expecting around 810 or 800. I got 780 in my mains. So if I had gotten 16 more marks, I would have landed into IAS. See, so every mark matters, and these papers are very much scoring, and you need to have a right strategy, and this is definitely the right strategy. Okay. Ethics and interview. Interview might not be that relevant for you now, but you will understand that is also scoring if you understand the right approach. Yeah. See, I'm not saying completely leave out GS1 and GS3, but once you complete all of them, in the end of the preparation, you'll have discretion. What time, in what areas, and what papers you will spend your time. These papers are more fetching. So this is just smart work. When you are getting good marks there, you should be spending more time there, right? What is the point of spending like one week or 2 weeks in reading world history, where there will be only one or two questions? See, in the number of questions and high, when the time you spend and the returns you get in polity or ethics is very high. That is not the case in world history. He will ask some random question that Malaysia and Western African nations a national movement, like nobody knows, and there are no sources. And in this year, JS1, he asked about twisters. Usually, so from where will you read? Now the coaching centers will make answers for them and try to make it like rationalize it, saying it's a normal topic. But no, before the exam, nobody knows about it. So instead, if you are spending this much of time in ethics and BS2, you will be getting much more marks, right? That is what I'm saying. That is what you should take from what I'm saying. And any more questions?
So which one you use throughout the
Pen. See, again, this is very subjective. I will tell what I've used. Firstly, I think I was with this Pentonic pen. The 10 rupees pen is there. Before the exam, the first means, I shifted to Pilot V7 because people were saying that was the best pen. But personally, for me, it did not work out well. Again, before the second means, I wrote with the Trimax refills, not the whole pen, just the refill. Yeah, people do write with the refills only because it is light and like it doesn't strain you. So I could complete the paper because it is very light and it is very soft and smooth also. But the only problem with that is that in the initial 1 or 2 or 3 questions, it's relatively rough. So this time I had again shifted my pen. There is this Pentel pen, like it's black. What is the name of the pen? Pentel. It's a gel pen. I think Pentel. Not able to declare its name also. Energy. I think energy. No, not that one. It's black throughout. Okay, I'll tell. I'll communicate you through, sir. But again, like the only reason I shifted to it was it is very smooth, extremely smooth. Even from the question number 1 also, it's very smooth. But again, it has its own problems. It's very thick. It has a very big girth, and it feels very heavy on your hand. Completely opposite to Trimax. That is very light. I think Trimax refills like they're only half of the weight of this Pentel pen. But again, when you practice it, I could manage it. But again, it's about your convenience. If you are able to complete the paper in time, especially ethics, I think you need to just look at the case study parts. They will take a lot of time because in all the papers, CS1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you'll have the same time, same pages you have to fill. But the questions, case studies are like 1.5 page long, especially in CSC 2022. So that is why completing ethics is a big challenge, especially after completing, say, GS1, 2 and 3. You will be exhausted physically and mentally also. And at that time, you will have to face ethics. So it is kind of cruel to put ethics there, but still, that is what it is, and you have to face the exam. So try to work out these pens, and when you write the mock test, you will understand. Like if you are able to complete in time, that's wonderful. Choose that time.
So how did you prepare for essay? That's something very subjective. So how did you?
See, it's not. I'm not sure if I am the right person to address essay because I did not score good. Openly speaking, I only got 99 in essay this year, CSA 2023. I was expecting 120 because I drew that projection from what I was getting in the forum mock tests. I used to get 116 and 119, and I wrote ample enough essays. I think I wrote four or 6 tests. I was giving good enough time for essay, because I knew it was a scoring paper and people are getting very good marks if you put the right efforts, writing quotes and all. But again, in that day, I don't know what happened. I felt like essay was the best paper of all the 7 papers. But again, essay, I did not score well. See, there are certain standard things I will say, which I still don't think I should be addressing it because I did not get good marks. But one thing is that connectivity. You have to maintain connectivity. And again, sticking to the topic, not deviating from it. And again, the third element is that you have to brainstorm before writing the essay. Okay. And one more approach which I have learned very recently is that try to be analytical by asking questions. I think that is Smriti Shah ma'am. for essay. I think her videos are on YouTube. Try to watch them. There is one introduction class. She gives this template, like ask 8 to 10 questions. Try to pose 8 to 10 questions. Why, how, why now, why not? Like there are certain counter questions. These are the set of questions which you can use everywhere, and try to address them. And this is a strategy of one of my friend who got 130 in essay this year. She told me this thing. She used to pose this 8 to 10 questions and substantiate those 8 to 10 questions with examples. So 8 to 10 paras and substantiate paras 10, again 10 more. So you'll have 20 paragraphs. So 20 paragraphs, done, your essay is done. So that was her strategy. I try to follow that in this year. So when my mark sheet comes out and if it works out, I think that is followable, because she got 130. She followed that strategy. Maybe it is good enough. So try it out, and if you think it is good, maybe follow it. And one more thing is that try to write those quotes. People do appreciate quotes in essays. In this year essay, again, I wrote those things. Shruti Sharma is there, right? You know the topper, first rank, CSC 2021. Her copies, if you look at them, you'll see those essays, quotes appearing very frequently. Try to do that, and write the fodder material for each topic. Certain topics are like too mundane. Every now and then they'll come: women, education, climate change, economic development, inequalities. These questions like poverty, democracy, and for example, IR topics are there. So that on multilateralism also, these topics are bound to reoccur every now and then. And then again, now philosophical topics are also there. Obviously, nobody knows, but there are certain broad themes like wisdom, war and peace, and like having motivation or perseverance. There are certain themes. Try to identify them from PYQs and try to collect fodder material and certain quotes, 4 or 5 of them, and try to use them in the right. Again, quotes only when they come in organically, not just because. Even if the topic is about wisdom and you remember the quote, it's not that you have to write it definitely. Only write it when it sits organically with the essay. Otherwise, like, it will ruin and spoil your essay. And try to be multidimensional. Most of the time, like, we try to we think we are sticking to the topic, but we are kind of restraining ourselves. I'll give you an example. One essay which I chose was doubter is a true man of science. There was this topic. So it was clearly indicating regarding science. But I thought the theme core was regarding being a doubter. So I also wrote one paragraph regarding social reformers. Like, they doubted the social structures and norms. So that is how they questioned it. They were also men of science, like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, any example. So like, try to be like little bit of broad interpretation without going too much away, diverting from the topic, core of the topic. And I think Vikram Grewal sir's essays are like legendary. He's quite popular for essays. Do look at his copies. Like, they are very much eye-opening for you, because I think he's in CSC 2023 itself, the mock essay which he wrote about that exact topic came out in CSC 2023, and people who read his essay notes got good marks because they've seen the same copy. Many of the people had copy pasted that. So that is regarding essay. Any more questions?
Sir, while writing a main section, how do we manage the time and the space? And how much the content we should give the question particular class?
See, when you write test series, initially you'll be taking 3.5 hours to complete the test. But when you regularly write it, you will know how to manage the time. So for 10 markers, you will put 7 minutes. Okay, 7 minutes and 12 seconds. Try to do the math. 250 marks and 12 into 3 into 60, 180 minutes. So when you do that, you will get it that for 10 markers, you have to put 7 minutes and 12 seconds. For 15 markers, you will need to put 9 minutes. So try to do that. In practice, you'll get it. With the practice, you'll get it. That's it. No more questions?
Yeah. Sir, while writing your essay, మనం ఇప్పుడు బుక్ లో ఉన్న వర్డ్స్ రాయాలి
No. See, there is like the word, how you describe is that original expression. Okay, so and original views are much more appreciated. I mean, they are supposed to be appreciated. Again, rider, because like, I don't get good marks in essay. These are my personal opinions. So take it with a pinch of salt. They do appreciate personal and individual opinions, and again you can substantiate with thinkers, like some prominent personality has said this thing. Again, you read quotes, right? Like for example, Aristotle, his definition of law, like law is a reason without passion. Maybe if the question is regarding law, like this quote is there when you want to write about some reason. And again, this quote, if it applies, it comes organically. Something like that you can quote, and you can hash and you can refer to some person. But again, your original views are also given same weight and value. They are valid. Okay.
So ethics also is vision
Ethics. See, vision. I personally have not read vision for ethics. See, there is one standard book, right? I think. What is the name of that book? Not DK Balaji. Actually, I think I referred to DK Balaji for case studies only. But what is it? No, not his also. Lexicon, I remember that. But it's quite bulky. But I only read for like kind of understanding of that syllabus topics. Again, like I have done extensive work on ethics paper. There is this book, Mudit Jain's book. I think Decode Ethics. I think that is good because he has a lot of diagrams there. Pick up those elements, and that is a very good book. Decode Ethics. Lexicon, use it only for this definitions. Okay, because I think it's very bulky and again very uncomfortable book. Mudit Jain's book is very good. And one more thing is that Animesh Pradhan's notes, try to see ethics. Animesh Pradhan, this year CSAT 2023 second rank. He got very good score in ethics, and I think he has a lot of diagrams and examples also there. See, and one thing that worked for me in ethics is that again presentation. There were like when he asked about comparison, I drew tables. Okay, he expects tables, and I think I wrote 5 to 6 examples in all the section questions. I think that does reflect in your marks. I think that is why he gave me 123. The examples are extremely important in ethics. Okay. Done. Okay. So yeah, work hard, be focused, and like try to surround yourself with people who believe you can make it. And yeah, it is just an exam. You can crack it, but you just need to have the right strategy, and you need to put right amount of effort. Because yeah, hard work, there is no other alternative for it. And try to make notes regularly, write tests, and be away from people who are negative, like who kind of say you can't do it, or who give you negative feedback when you're working hard. Yeah, there are these kind of people who will try to rationalize their own distractions, or when they don't work hard, and to say that you can crack this exam by not working hard, they will criticize you for working too hard. Try to stay away from those people who are not serious, and yeah, all the best for all of you.